Hi, I'm Kai. Nice to meet ya. Welcome to my lazy zone. I call it the Lay Zone. Recently, I made a video talking about the rumbling in Attack on Titan, and how absolutely catastrophic it is for the planet. And that video gained a little bit of traction, and with traction comes a lot of opinions. And in that video, most of the comments either talked about how exaggerated the title is, and tried to somehow one-up it, like this end of the world scenario is deadlier than this end of the world scenario, or people trying to convince me why Eren Yeager is justified in doing the rumbling. Now, I've heard my fair share of bad takes in the past, but I never thought I had to discuss the ethics of genocide with anime fans, and that's what this video's about. I'm looking at this situation at every angle, trying to figure out, is Eren Yeager justified? And unlike my rumbling video, I'm going to talk about manga spoilers. Now, even though there's only like 9 chapters left and the anime kinda covered everything I want to talk about, there are still some things I want to bring up that's exclusive to the manga, so I'll give you like a heads up when I'm talking about it. So without further ado, let's talk about genocide. Let's look at the situation we have at hand. What would bring someone to end the world? It probably has something to do with the world treating the Eldians like doo-doo garbage. The treatment of Eldians around the world is absolutely awful, keeping them in internment zones, verbal and physical assault, treating every single one of them like subhumans. And if any of them step out of line, either death in the most horrible way awaits them, or they get sent to parody, which means turning into a Titan and terrorizing the other Eldians in parody. And let's talk about the other Eldians, forced to hide behind giant walls and forgetting the history of why they're there in the first place, all while trying not to get eaten. So yes, I get it. The world sucks if you're an Eldian. In being a minority, I understand why you want to use force to stop that. And if what Udo said was correct, then Marley is one of the better places to live as an Eldian. If there was something in the original video I wish I could take back, is that, but if you absolutely have to use the rumbling, just use a small scale one, and then just do it on Marley only. I don't want it to happen at all. I tried to make a compromise with genocide, and that's not okay. Everything bad that Marley did was because of the government's officials and the brainwashing their citizens have. We've seen the most devout Marley citizens change, and we've seen tons of people in the country that don't think this way. And I don't think I have to bring this up, but there are a bunch of innocent Eldians there. So me saying Marley kinda deserves to get stomped on, I take it back. Even if what Udo said was correct, I still don't think any country deserves the punishment of
death by foot.
So let's look at this objectively here. Is it really worth it to destroy all of this just to protect this? Because no matter how you look at it, it just seems more effective to just get rid of this island, right? Even though there's a ton of innocent Eldians in parody, there's even more innocent Eldians across the world. Now, doesn't that sound absolutely fucked up? And that's kind of the thing when you try to think about this argument logically. The rumbling isn't an argument about logic, it's an argument about morality. In my eyes, there's a clear difference between having to do something and wanting to do something. And Eren fits into the former. He sees that there's no other way to resolve this war than to kill everybody outside of parody. But there's one important thing you have to remember. Eren does not want to do this. After going through the Attack Titan's future memories and finding out what's in store, he is mortified after finding out what he's gonna do. And as the years goes by, he slowly distanced himself from the scouts. And he hurt his friends emotionally and physically in order to distance himself. He intentionally painted himself as a villain to parody and the world. And you can't exactly do that with a smile on your face, you know what I mean? This is the entire reason why he's so miserable throughout season 4. Like, look at him and tell me that is the face of a guy who wants to kill everybody. All of this is why Eren is one of my favorite characters in the show. Like, I can see his internal struggle dealing with all this, and even if I don't agree with his plan, and after everything he's done, I feel sorry for him. He feels like that he has to do this, and he takes no joy in any of this. But he doesn't have to do this. Plot twist, I believe Eren wants to do this. One of the main things we know about Eren is that he is very, very, very violent, and that he cares for his friends immensely. He will do anything to protect his friends, and more importantly, his freedom, to the point where he said some pretty messed up stuff. At the end of season 3, after Eren finds out that there are other people outside the walls, as soon as he said, I just knew that he was gonna be up to some devious shit, and after finding out what the rumbling was, I just knew deep down in my gut that he was gonna activate it. After everything we've learned about him, it is 100% in his nature to kill everybody outside the walls. Anybody who impedes on his freedom. It's just that with Titans, he didn't have to think about it all that much. And now we've reached the point in the video where I'm going to talk about manga spoilers, so here's your 5-second heads up. If you haven't read the manga, just skip to this point in the video. We're good? Okay. So the more I researched this video, and the more I read your comments, I started to look at the final chapter in a different light. More specifically, the extra 8 pages. And more specifically, this panel. I hate this panel. When I first read this, I interpreted it as like, war always continues, it's like a never-ending cycle. Which is probably what Isayama intended, because if he didn't, then oh boy. But a lot of other people interpreted it as like, this could have been prevented if Eren went all the way. And it wasn't until I was recording this when I realized how bad of an ending that is. Like, wow. It's pretty obvious that Attack on Titan around season 4 is heavily referencing World War II. And groups like the Yeagers are heavily referencing Nazis. So isn't it kind of bad how like, the end of the story is basically saying, hey, this would have been prevented if everybody died? And isn't it kind of weird how the story has been kind of criticizing them this entire time until the very end where they were proven right? Like Flock legit said that they are not safe until they kill everybody, and then they didn't kill everybody, and then Parody gets destroyed. And it's probably like a different war. We don't know if it's like a consequence due to the rumbling. And I wouldn't have such a problem with this if it wasn't for a bunch of people in my comments in the first video telling me they support the rumbling because of this. And the fact that people are able to interpret it this way is bad. It's very bad. And I honest to God hope that the anime fixes this somehow. Or just get rid of it in general, cause like, come on man. Okay, welcome back people who haven't read the manga. You didn't really miss much. Attack on Titan is my favorite anime of all time and one of my favorite shows of all time. But one of the biggest flaws about this show is that it doesn't give a good enough reason to not end the world. And I hate that this is a hot topic because it should be obvious, right? But if they did a good job, then there wouldn't be a bunch of people saying that the rumbling should happen. That's like Dragon Ball saying that Frieza was right for destroying Planet Vegeta because the Saiyans are assholes. Like, it just doesn't add up, you know what I mean? I get that with war there's gonna have to be some casualties. But I just don't like the idea that if everybody dies, everything's gonna be okay. That is an absolutely terrible message to send. And I just don't agree with that sentiment. I just don't think Eren's right. And it's one thing to understand where he's coming from. Like, we had 3 whole seasons to understand why Eren was doing this. So like, I get if people empathize with them. But it's a whole nother thing to support it. Like, legit saying that Eren did nothing wrong. And I hope with the upcoming episodes, Mappa takes the time to make the rumbling look as awful as it should, and make sure that the people who support this are in the wrong. The show has changed stuff in the past before, I know they can do it, and I don't really know how to end this video, but I want to take the time to make a brand new segment. I've read a lot of comments from the first video, and I like to take the time to show off things the comments think are scarier than the rumbling. The Eclipse, the Third Impact, Made in Heaven, the Clown and Marley, Goku, Infinite Zamasu, the End of the World, Hell, Goku Again, When Day Breaks, Silvio 2, which I had to look up, and apparently it's like a horror game that's apparently not very good, Hell Again. The rumbling, but every single wall titan is covered in giant spiders, and every single face is one of the cast from The Sopranos coming out of the thorax. Yes, that is a real comment, and without a doubt, the scariest thing in this list is Goku a third time. I mean, if he shows up 3 times, that means he's gotta be.